What is the largest number that can be obtained with 4 digits of 2 and no other sign? Positive sign only allowed. And with 4 fours, what will happen? If I have 4 twos are there, this is the first number that's possible with the smallest number of digits. This is the second. This is the third number. This is the fourth, 2 power 22. Then you try with the 2 power 22, 2 power 222. So I'm just looking for the biggest number that is possible with the 4 twos. This is then the biggest number that's possible. Then 2 power 22 power 2 power of 2 power that number. That's the next biggest number. But if I do other way, this I'm just reversing here. 2 power 22 power of that number, because for the 2 power 2, this is the biggest number that's possible. If I generate, and I would get the number like something like 12,62,612 digits. Okay. If I find, I can do all these things. You can see within no time this will be done and it will be counted and it will be listed out. That is what the beauty of this software now. And interestingly, you find, if you compare with our human capabilities, let us calculate average human calculation capability. Suppose a person can perform 1 operation per second. The number of possible operation in his lifetime, 17 years, okay, this is the number of operations. And an average 0.2 seconds of computation time is equal to 1 person's lifetime. Message is that Mathematica like software should be explored for innovative work in our pursuit of science. So you can see you are working. If you work for 8 hours a day, 5-day week, 5-day week and 4 weeks and 12 months and 70 years. This is the number of operations that's possible. Now we can see this being done. Now I'm evaluating all of them. You just observe how much time is going to take for completing the process. Done. Already results have come. Okay, you can see this. Output 9, this 2 power 22 of this 2 power of 2 power 22 is 12 lakhs. That you wanted to see the number, you can open it and see. I wanted to show all of them, or set a limit, or show more. Show more, it is little more added. Okay, if I wanted to see all of them, then set size limit, show all. It's going to be a big number that can be seen here. You can see all the number that you need that has been generated. All the number that are required is available and it has been folded and has been written here. Okay, so that is the power of the technical software Mathematica. So now this is compact from just given. Okay, so this game you can try and you can select. I already given a question. Okay, and with 4 fours, what will happen? That you can try and check whether you have any limitation in the Mathematica or limitation in your computer that you use. So therefore, you should realize that it is really a powerful tool. Okay, this is to visualize your so-called what do you mean by slope of a function. Very many places we will use this. We minimize the function, try to look for the minimum value by taking the derivative. And the digital signal process, this signal is the noise. This is the noise signal. This is the Fourier transform. Okay, inverse Fourier transform. Take a Fourier transform, inverse it, and you'll get back your signal that's going to happen. Whether this can be implemented, yes, it can be implemented. This is the digital images, and you have the power spectrum. We'll show you one by one, and this is some of the simple things which is already available. It has been created here and so. This is the projectile motion, 45 degrees is the range maximum. This is the fluid dynamics part. This is the entropy change, and entropy becomes constant after a time. This is cream in a coffee, which is at higher temperature, and this can be seen. The dispersions of light and the quantum object particles. As a particle is dispersion, which I have already shown, then this is the self-similarity fractals. Like that you have. Okay, I will go to some of the interesting things which I already mentioned in the case of using the Mathematica. I hope that screen will be seen for all of you. I wanted to show you this free-fall dynamics. And as I explained, that we should understand a little more on that. And of course, this is the great contributors of the classical mechanics. and how the classical mechanics are connected to the various disciplines. This is the linear motions and rotational motion. We start from here. I think screen is clear for all of you. Shaheen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. No issue. So audio also clear.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. Now this is the distance. Okay. This is half GT square. Initial position is 0. Okay. If you make a plot, this is what the curve. This is the displacement as a function of time. Okay. This is half GT square. This is the free fall. This is the acceleration due to gravity because of the gravitational field. This is what we are starting from a height of about 50 meters from here at time t equal to 0, and this is the particular path that is taken by the object, which is free fall. This is what the displacement as a function of time. Okay, this is a t square. This is a parabola, part of the parabola, and we can really understand. If you have a clear-cut picture about the mathematics of the parabola, then you will understand immediately about what is going kind of dynamics we are going to look at as a function of the variable as a time. Now, take a slope of this. Derivative is going to be velocity. That's what here. Fine. And find out area under the curve. Then integrate. That is going to be your displacement. This is n integrated from up to 3.2. That is exactly 3.2. This is what your total distance. A little more than that for the. This is 50.157, 3.2 seconds. That is what the distance that is being covered by this object. Okay, now I would like to visualize that. Okay, so maybe I will evaluate them, all of the statements, and that will be done automatically. Don't worry about that. So it is evaluated, all the statements are being evaluated. Now I want to look at this is the path and the velocity of that, and the derivative can be seen here. It's going to be a straight line out for this because t square, half t square, when you take a derivative, is going to be t, which is a derivative of that. And you can find out the slope at every point of it. That's going to be your velocity. That will be same. Yeah, you can identify by looking at the velocity will be how much is the for this one is going to be. Velocity is 9.8 into t. The slope is 9.8 every point when you are moving on this line. Okay. So now that movement can be seen, and this can be animated and look at it. That's the greatness. I can get a feel of what is meaning a function and a derivative, what is happening, and a derivative gives me velocity as a function of time. Okay, this is the displacement, and the velocity part of it. Okay, this is animated, and we. What is interesting is what you mean by a differentiation can be understandable. You can change the x by small amount. Okay, for a given function. Find out what is happening to the function after the incremental divided by del x when del x becomes very, very small. So del x starting from 2. Okay, and just created this picture by the method of, we use the mathematical method to find the derivative of a sign that has been done numerically to show that as del x goes to 0, approaches to 0, you would get this sign becoming a cos in the derivative procedure. That is the procedure which we follow. And del x, the limit del x goes to 0, you have the derivative of that. And that can be visualized here. Okay, it's getting matched. Let's say the simple to show that it approaches when del x approaches to 0, it goes to a exactly to the analytical function what you have. That's the beauty of it. And instantaneous velocity we talk. Instantaneous means at that given point, what is the slope? That can be shown for an exponential function. This is the curve between 0 to 2. This is the value. At this point, there's a tangent. And I'm going to move near to that to just say that from left to right about 0.001, the difference on this side. And see that the point is very closely goes to that del x is approaching to 0. Then you have the instantaneous value of this function, which is we define in the dynamics instantaneous velocity. So now that can be seen. So with this function, we can try with other functions also. Now you can see what's happening to that. I'm just expanding the region, zooming. So let me start zooming and then show you now. See, at the end, I'm having with respect to the point 1, the curve and the line are same, and you see the left and right, the magnitude is 0.001. The difference between this side and this side 0.01. And to that accuracy, we try to find out. That is what your LS is. If you want, you can reduce. It's possible. And you will end up with the number what you have here. Okay, e power 1 value that's possible to find out by the analysis. So like this, you can find out any curve, what is really the corresponding value of the slope that can be found. Here is the free fall. Now we have seen this by the gravitational fall it is taking place. I'm going to look at the free fall at a different time where is the object is. This is what the free fall emissions can be seen in a 2-dimension. Yeah, I hope you are able to see this and correspondingly where is the particle or where is the object at a given instant of time. This is what your time variation. Okay. Next, stop it here and make it as a 3D object and look at it like a small ball-like structure, and we can see it is going to move now, and we can find out at a different time what is the height. Which means I am able to see in space what is happening with respect to the time. That I am able to observe it when there is a gravitational field. Okay, I am able to feel that. Okay, so therefore you would really understand what is going in between at a given time. At this time, what is happening? At this time, what is happening? Where it is? What is the location of it? Okay, and what is the kinetic energy? What is the potential energy of that? What is the velocity of that? Everything can be calculated, and these are all responsible. This is all happening at a time, with an evolution of the time. Okay, so this is what your object that is evolving in time. So now we will like to plot the velocity as a function of displacement. And it is the distance that is being, this is the velocity, maximum velocity at time t equal to 0, and then it goes on and decreases when it reaches the height, this much. This is velocity versus d plot. One can clearly see how things get changes. And negative velocity indicates there is a negative, it's coming down, direction is towards the earth. Okay, displacement also having a minus sign. Now I plot potential energy versus kinetic energy. And we have a straight line, and you can see the energy from potential energy at time t equal to 0 minus 500 becomes plus 500 for an energy for a mass of 1 kilogram. If I take, that's going to be a straight line. At any point of time, the total energy is conserved. You can move on that. At any instant of time, this time is sitting here to calculate these energies. So any instant of time, you can really feel that there is going to be a total energy the system is conserved. This is free fall, okay? And we can find out what is the exact time by using this also. Because this is what the time taken, what is the height of it, this is the height of it. Now I will generate the numbers for a 5 kilogram and 25 kilogram at different times up to 3.2. Where is the object is? What is the velocity of that? What is the acceleration due to gravity, which is constant, of course? What is the force that is acting? What is the corresponding energies in terms of potential energy, kinetic energy? What is the total energy? This can be clearly seen here that there is an evolution that takes place. And you can see whether you drop 5 kilogram or 25 kilogram from the height of say 50.1576 meters, you can see the 5 kilogram object and 25 kilogram object reaches the height ground from this height to ground in the same interval of time. That is the most important thing that one would learn. Okay, there is a timing evolution, but the different dynamics in terms of energies and the forces. Okay, the dynamics is very great here. The force acting on them also, it changes. Okay, this is a conservative force. Energy is also conserved. And there is a dynamics which goes on with respect to this acceleration. With respect to the time, you can find out in between time, any time between 0 to 3.2, where is the particle, what time, and what is the velocity of that, and what is the force acting on that. With that force, what is the kinetic energy, what is the potential energy. There is an evolution that takes place. And this is true whether you have a 5 kilogram or a 500 kilogram. Suppose you may ask, sorry, if I put a 0.001 gram, make sure that there is no other buoyancy forces that are coming. There is no other acceleration that enters. Okay, then if you want to perform such an experiment with a light object, then you create a vacuum. There is no buoyancy force. Otherwise, you can add the contribution of that in your differential equation or in your equation. What is the consequence of the buoyancy force on the masses, and then modify the equation and look for the solutions. Then again look for what happens to your conservation and the dynamics. So you can see that 5 or a 10 or 100 object where you assume that there is no air resistance contribution. See, the total energy is always conserved. These numbers generated gives a good feel, which is dynamics that is taking place with respect to the time, that are all responsible for this thing that is going on, for the gravitational acceleration, the 9.8, which we assume. Of course, this can be very minute changes will be there place to place. And this is the velocity variation. It starts from 0 velocity and reaches with this. But you see, with this velocity, okay, the kinetic energy is so high when it touches the ground. You can see this is something like total energy is something like 12,293, whereas this is 2,458. You can see that is almost 6 to 7 times. The impact will be very great on the Earth. Okay, when it touches on the Earth. So, but energy transformation, all this energy transformation with this kind of a difference should take place within the same interval. Even if you have a 50 kilogram, 5,000 kilograms, the energy will be too huge. Then transformation should take place within the time scale. The dynamics should change in such a way that the force component and the velocity component will be in such a way that you would see that within the same time interval, that energy transfer should take place. So that is what actually happening within the dynamical process. So this is what the free fall, and I have shown it for the different masses. This is different masses change and converting the kinetic energy, potential energy, all these things. Okay, so now this is the another way to look at it as a function of acceleration at that time. What will happen? This is what your velocity and the displacement. You know what will happen when you change the acceleration. This is the fixed acceleration, whereas here you are changing the acceleration. Now what will happen to the velocity and distance? When I have an accelerated situation, I will see that the distance covered will be enormous when you change the accelerations. And you can see the slope changes corresponding to the velocity slope. The velocity is different, and distance covered also, which can be possible to feel by just changing the acceleration, having a plot of velocity and the time as a function of velocity and displacement as a function of time. I am looking at the variation of the A, which is possible for me, and the evolution can be seen with respect to the change in the acceleration. This is what in real life we do. When you move on the roads, this is what really happens. Our acceleration changes, and see what is the happening to our velocities and the distance covered get changes. Okay, this is when there is a change in the acceleration. This is what is happening. And of course, we can make a 3D plot showing the velocity as a function of acceleration and time. This is V as a function of A and T in the z-axis. This is the time axis. This is the acceleration axis. And you can see the velocity changes when the acceleration is increasing. That can be felt here. You are changing the acceleration, velocity goes up. Okay, I'm able to feel all the three at a time. What are I shown here? I'm able to feel it at a time, showing all of them the different acceleration. Here I am showing these two as a function of t, but here as a function of t, I have v is a function of a and t that has been shown. It's an advantage that you have when you have this. And this is being animated as a function of acceleration. But here it is being animated as a function of acceleration. Also there. Here again, this half a t square. Displacement as a function of t. The 3D plot again, you can see. This is what the so displacement as a function of a and t. This is curved features can be seen. Parabolic nature can be seen. V is a function of a and t. Here is the D is a function of a and t. These are all options that are available for you to do it. And you can define the function with the initial velocity, initial position, take it up. First derivative, second derivative, automatically algebra is done by the mathematics itself, and make a plot, and you look at independently with the initial position, different positions with an acceleration. You can see what is happening. What are I shown this independently can be also be seen. This is with respect to 3D pictures showing with a nice motion of the object as it is with the red dot. Okay, as a function of time, this is happening. And the numbers also being calculated and how this velocity changes. It's also being shown. Okay, now there's another interesting aspect with respect to these forces and the potential energy. Del cross F equal to 0. If it happens, then we call it as a conservative force. And when this conservative force is there, the gradient becomes the potential that's equal to 0. This is an important thing that can be learned and it can be proved for various situations. And if you are good at with this mathematical, we can very easily cross-check it whether these are conservative forces or not. This is a conservative force. What are it here? This is all about your dynamics that is taking place in the constant and varying acceleration. And this is a good field for us to understand. You see, the dynamically things are happening. The things, the dynamics that's going on, then that leads to energies and the forces. So this table gives an idea. And that's why been shown through the pictures. This is for the classical, well-known study which we have been learning from this school onwards. Now I feel that this will give a deeper understanding about what is really happening in terms of the dynamics. The second part of it I wanted to show, start with the black body radiation. So very interesting aspect. This is the birth of the so-called quantum physics or quantum mechanics, and H is, I don't have to tell the importance of the H. Okay, so this is being executed now completely. Okay, so important experimental observations are, I would just wanted to say a few words about the nature of the black body radiation spectrum and what are the experimental observations to start with and what happens to that. Then you try to see the black body radiation. So now we can see experimental observations. What are the experimental observations? With respect to the frequency, when you make a measurement of the energy density, okay, you find there's going to be a peak that is being observed for a given temperature. Raise the temperature, you find the peak gets shifted. A high frequency. That's the first observation. It's an universal observation for a black body. Now find out what is the lambda maximum or a new maximum into temperature. This is the new maximum, new maximum, new maximum, new maximum into temperature. That is a constant. It's an experimentally proved fact. There's no dispute on that. Find out area under this curve for every one of them at a given temperature. Divide by T power 4. You will get a Wien's constant. Okay, this is the experimental. These three things are experimental aspects. And there was a struggle which is going on for more than 20 years to understand this and get a proper function. There was a big struggle that is going on in the literature, and there are people like Rayleigh, Jeans, and then Wiens. These people are working on that, and finally Planck has tackled it, and he has come out with a function which can explain all the experimental features of the black body spectrum with respect to the frequency, with respect to lambda, and what are they mentioned in terms of lambda power total area divided by lambda power 4, and then lambda maximum to T. Then Rayleigh-Jeans research in the extreme limits, and also Wien's result. All this thing has been produced. And you can see here, when I change the temperature, you can see this peak shift can be seen. That is being accommodated by the function. Okay, it's nicely one can feel, yes, when I raise the temperature, peak is shifting. And you never see these curves, okay, crossing. You expand it and look at it. And what is the thing, physics, which is responsible for such behavior, okay, which can be realized by quantizing the energy levels, quantize the energies that are coming out. This is smaller energy, this is higher energy. Smaller energy, smaller probability, higher energy again less probability. In between these two, there is a function which is taking care of this peak that is being observed. So this is lower energy, this is the higher energy. The photons that is coming out, this is produced by this named by chemist, and these photons have a lower energy here, lower probability, higher energy but still lower probability. The nature of the function is such that it takes care of that, so becoming a smaller value on the higher frequency and lower frequency. At a given temperature is going to be peak. When you raise the temperature, this is happening. what is the function that takes care of such behavior? That is what given by our Planck's radiation law. That's what is given by him. You can do it for both the case in terms of the frequency and also in the wavelength. And you would understand all about it. See, this is the lambda maximum determination. Okay, very easily, as I said, now you take a derivative. You can see this is what your normalized function of the black body radiation. And this is what your slope at the point. And when I change it, I will locate where is the maximum is lying. When it crosses the red line, the dot which is crossing, slope is parallel to that. That happens at a particular point. 2.82144, the slope becomes 0. If you want to enter that, you can enter it 2.82144. If I enter, that's going to parallel to the x-axis. So to 0 exactly at this point. Okay, lambda max can be fixed, and that is substituted back, and you'll find out what is the lambda max. Is it in lambda x, which is in frequency? Mu maximum has been fixed, and this is what the number that you get. Similarly, see, this is the problem now. It cannot be solved unless you have a computer. Okay. So those days, people have come out with the calculations with such an accurate value. That's great at those days. Now it is just done within a one small program by writing some few lines. I mean, we are able to. But those days, in fact, when I was doing my computation with the Fortran, now we spent a lot of time to find out this slopes and equal to zeros. All this, everything is done now automatically. Found, solved, and this result has been given. That result has been. Usually, we are seeing it now. Okay, and this is with respect to the lambda, and you can see the constant is something like this. This happened. This is what you were taught. Okay, when it reaches this point, so which means you substitute the value of the number equal to 4.96511. If I substitute and enter it now. Enter now. Okay. This is parallel to this, but the number has changed little bit. 4.9. You can have an accuracy of any extent. 4.96511. Enter it. This is parallel x-axis, exactly 0. This decimal accuracy. In fact, I have shown this accuracy. You see. It's not an issue at all. 100 digits of accuracy you can evaluate. The precision can be changed, and that root can be found to any extent, because this might be required, because with respect to lambda, it is in angstrom. Therefore, you need to have an accuracy of, say, about 8 to 10 digits of accuracy to get a lambda max accurately to find the lambda max to T. So now we can see what is being done here. It is quite interesting to look at in terms of the parameter with the physical quantity, what is associated here. See, this is what your number of modes that are there. As time evolution of the modes can be seen here nicely. This is the first mode which is evolving. Okay, I'll increase the number of modes by changing the K value. This number of modes are changing. I'm able to feel this is what the modes that are there. Okay, and I can change the speed of this mode by changing the frequency. Faster, faster, and faster. And I can change the number of modes. You'll get a feel. What do you mean by a mode? You don't understand, but you can visually feel, because black body has within this cavity you have the modes. That modes are established and has been shown that is varying in the frequency proportional to nu square, and in terms of wavelength it is by inversely proportional to lambda power 4. What is this number? What is this quantity? This is actually number of modes per unit volume per unit frequency interval. That is what the unit says here. So when it is written, immediately you should come to your mind, there is a number of modes that are there in a unit volume per unit frequency interval. If there is a d nu interval is there, then the number of modes that are there in a d nu will be nu plus d plus nu, nu plus d nu. That's the greatness of this when I split and write like this. Okay, this is the classical result. Energy has been taken continuous. This is KT. Okay, now you have the, with respect to the nu, this is what the result. Okay, classical result. Energy density, the distribution is, this is the form. With respect to the lambda, you see, with respect to the, after finding this unit becomes joule per meter cube per unit frequency interval. Okay, energy density per unit frequency interval. So this means, okay, energy density per unit frequency interval.